YouTube. It's getting on for 2:30 in the morning. Here in this homeless hostel that I'm in. I should have taken a lesson from Sharon Gale last week, not to do YouTube videos when you've had a drink. I've had a few gins. Don't tell them in the hostel because you're not allowed to drink in here. Naughty boy I am. Still, everybody else is taking smack or spice or something like that. Anyway, here's a reason to kick me out. If you want to fuck with my life a little bit more. So we've got a shill talking to Sinead O'Connor's much older transsexual brother, who's a warrior and works for an organisation called NAPEC, the National Association of Young People in Care. A colleague of Chris Fay, a man who couldn't look more like a fucking nonce if he tried. Oh, I just swore. I don't usually swear in my videos. Unlike Bill Maloney, who swears every 3 words. Has to look hard, innit, you fucking cunts, yeah? So yeah, Mary Moss, Sinead's older transsexual brother, working for an organisation called NAPEC. Sounds like a charity, doesn't it? But of course it's never actually been a charity. Nobody on YouTube seems to want to recognise that fact. NAPEC with its Elm House guest list of VIP child sex abusers, yeah. Andrew Ash and his list of VIP child sex abusers, yeah. Fucking hell. That gin is quite stiff. I over poured that, so Brian, whose career had hit the skids, he fucked up, didn't he? Brian fucked up, blames the world, blames everyone else. Yeah, they made you, Brian. They made you and they took you down. Bit abused, weren't you, Brian? Eh? All that fame, all that money. They just abused you, didn't they? Created you, made you a star. And then destroyed your career. Of course, it's not the same as being sexually abused. We're a bit fucking nuts, most of us. Which is why people like you shouldn't fuck about with us. Dickhead. And you, muppet. And Chris Fay, and Bill Maloney, and John Widger, and Brian fucking Gerrish. Brian, you know who I am. Gerrish. Idiot. I should have punched him myself, Brian. Of course, things were quite simple, really. Back in October 2011, when the Jimmy Savile story broke, child abuse at the BBC. Of course, they waited till Jimmy Savile died, right? Because they didn't have a clue before he died. Seems to be the way with a lot of these people, isn't it? A lot of these child abusers, these VIP child abusers, they cover it up till they die. And you're supposed to trust the police, right? So, quite simple. Child abuse at the BBC. A few of them went down, didn't they? Quite quiet about it, really. For me, the mainstream media didn't get sensationalised like Jimmy Savile's, necrophilia, thousands of victims. So we got Brian Harvey here. He's never done a day's activism in his life. Suddenly decided in 2013 that he was going to become an activist. Like Ben Fellows, the predominant activist, as Bill Maloney referred to him as, or a predominant activist, rather. Yeah, right. Of course, Brian worked in the entertainment industry, and so did Ben Fellows, and so did, apparently, Bill Maloney. Somebody sent me a message tonight. One message I got from my recent upload. 115 subscribers, no content. And in their About Me section it says, remember it's the internet. Yeah, well, I always remember it's the internet. I've been doing that for fucking decades now. But internet or no internet, you shouldn't fuck around with people who've been abused in childhood. And you shouldn't be complicit in covering it up. The naivety argument doesn't hold a lot of sway with me. Brian Harvey can fool a lot of people because he has, I think, what they call a media presence. You've danced to his music, sung his songs every Christmas, apparently, so he keeps telling me and you. Shouldn't fuck around with people abused in childhood. You really should not. We're all a bit fucking nuts. Especially when we know, as a fact, that it's being covered up by people like you. Anyway, I'm waffling. waffling. That'll be the gin. So it was quite simple, wasn't it? Child abuse at the BBC. Then Bill Maloney gets introduced in January, roundabout in 2012, down at Occupy St Paul's, where they also introduced a lot of other undercover people into the protest scene. Consequently, those people that were introduced and were characters and had inside information also have quite popular YouTube channels and Facebook pages. Many of them have disappeared now. Disappeared off the face of the earth. Small world though, apparently. Of course, that operation to infiltrate Occupy was extended onto the internet, you see, in my opinion. People with hidden agendas, state agendas. People with a lot of subscribers, which is why this fella fits very nicely into the frame, because he would immediately get a lot of subscribers, right? And you've also had a little boogie to his, well, not his band, but the band that was created to earn some people some money. So who better to distract you with bullshit? You truthers out there. Oh dear. So we went from something very simple like the child abuse going on at the BBC to Bill Maloney solely concentrating on the sensational, the corruption in Westminster, which fits nicely into the Occupy movement's ethos of being against the state. And of course they were all portrayed as being paranoid conspiracy theorists, right? So what better to distract you than create a lot of conspiracy? And no one's done such a good job as this dickhead. This fucking dickhead. Good old trusting Brian, eh? Only went in to help. Because he had cameras. And a filmmaker didn't. Of course, I'm fairly sure you must have seen the footage of Andrew Ash and all the filmmaking that went on. The filmmaking surrounding somebody abused in childhood by all these famous people. Brian got right into it. Brian, who's not scared of Bill Maloney, watched Andrew Ash get bullied right in front of his face and said fuck all. He must have had an empathy bypass, I reckon. Something not working right in his brain. Brian got very excited about that filmmaking. And then, of course, Bill Maloney disappeared, as did commonly known as Dom, who introduced him down at Occupy, as did John Harris, who Brian seems to know quite well. Of course, that was another bullshit conspiracy, the free man on the land shit. Fair play to John Harris, though. He did kind of sum it up at the end and let you know what it was all about. But Brian has taken the conspiracy to new lengths. I'm not sure I can keep track of it all. Are you keeping track of it all? Is it all clear in your head? We've gone from a simple thing like child abuse at the BBC to phone hacking, Ian Puddick, MI5, MI6. I mean, he really has taken he's taken what I would say is taken the dairy off the situation. BBC, child abuse. He's moved it on in different directions. And of course, being a narcissist as well, he also keeps coming up with this theory that it was all about him. The whole thing, the Andrew Ash thing, was all about Brian Harvey, trying to make a mug out of him. Well, that's one big long operation, that is, because Bill Maloney got introduced in January 2012. And Brian didn't actually start talking to him till the middle of 2013. Brian must be very important. Brian, who waves his bits of paperwork around but never actually lets you look at any of it. Bundles and bundles of paperwork that he flicks through really quickly so you can't actually see what it is. Introducing new characters such as Ian Puddick. You shouldn't fuck around with with people who've been abused in childhood, really. Internet or no internet. And when you wanted to have it out with everybody, you wouldn't have it out with me, would you? You'd have it out with a bunch of people who don't know jack shit, who only know what they've seen on YouTube. But you wouldn't have it out with somebody who was there, who's been around them people. And that's because I'm not so easily bullshitted. And I think you're frightened of questions that I will ask you. I think you're very frightened of questions that I might ask you.